Fergus, let's start with you. We'll chat about, we'll tease it out who you think might be on your...
You can do the front row.
Yeah, you can start with the front row, your speciality.
I don't think any of us here pitched very well.
We might just, we'll say maybe Wyn Jones.
We'll give it our best crack.
Go Wyn Jones, Ken Owens, and I think Tadhg Furlong deserves a start in the front row.
Yeah, I don't know if Tadhg deserves a start, but I think that he's probably the best option to start, and I think he's shown from his, the cameos he's had in the few games, the performance against England, outstanding. Scotland, he had this the dancing feet that everyone saw, really brilliant. So I'd imagine he's in the driving seat. Yeah, for tight head. Hooker is a funny one because I know Ken Owens has been so solid and he's been brilliant for Wales, and I think that what will work in his favour is Gatland knows him really well. But I wonder, is there chance for a bit of a bolter? Like, you need big hookers, but you need athletic ones to play South Africa, and Ronan Kelleher really is. I think if Gatland has watched him and he likes him, I think he would be a great guy to bring down there, and I think he could be a bit of a wild card to start.
Yeah, it's a funny one, Hooker, because you look at the Six Nations, no one, bar Ken Owens, who obviously played very well, was on the winning side, no one was really took the bull by the horns. And someone like Jamie George, he's now going back to play in the Championship. So he doesn't actually have an opportunity to really put his hand up in the Premiership.
He probably wasn't playing by his standards his best.
No, he wasn't. But you'd be thinking, right, I'm back to my club. I can still salvage it. If Sarries went and did the Premiership and European double, and he was at the centre of that, then he would have been back in the mix. I don't think he's someone now who they can pick. He's not going to have played top level rugby in this calendar year going into that Lions tour. So it definitely is teed up for a bolter, and someone like Ronan Kelleher who's going to be playing top level rugby in both the Rainbow Cup and the Champions Cup. There's no reason why it couldn't be him.
But I'd agree with you, yeah. And the loose head Jones from Wales, he's been brilliant. He, man of the match performance there in one of their games, and been a very solid performer. So you'd imagine he'd be nailed on there.
Yeah. Fairness to Rob Herring as well. Like he was rock solid in the Six Nations. The line out has come on a huge amount in the time that Paulie's been there, and I think all the hookers were struggling a small bit, leading into the Six Nations. But I thought he was a really consistent performer, and if he can kick on a bit now with Ulster, that he could definitely put himself in the mix.
Yeah, I think then you move into second row, another area of expertise for us.
Absolutely.
But people probably call me crazy for saying this, but I think that I'd go with Wyn Jones and James Ryan, and maybe keep Itoje on the bench. And I'm sure people might think I'm crazy for saying that, but I think that James Ryan's very unlucky with the concussion, and he'll be stepping out. But I think he will have a run in, hopefully, if Leinster manage to beat Toulon for games to show what he's about, because I didn't think Itoje was playing his best rugby, being honest, and I think he put in a strong performance in one or two of the games, but not consistently. And I think that James Ryan he just has that consistency, and Wyn Jones is probably going to be nailed on. Realistically, he's probably favoured to be captain. What do you think about the second row?
You'd surely have to put Byrne in there after getting nominated for Player of the Tournament, or would you put him at back row?
He's played 6 though, you see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought he played his best rugby at 6. I thought Tadhg Byrne.
I think it's an open one. I wouldn't be fully convinced on James Ryan for it yet. I've been obviously very impressed with him. He's a quality player, but that is one that is going to come down to how you're playing for your club in the lead up to the selection. I'm a big fan of Johnny Gray. He's been probably the best second row for me over the last 3 or 4 years. So he's someone who puts it in, week out with Exeter, and will be a good match for the South Africans.
Yeah, moving on to the back row, then there's an immense amount of players that you could pick.
Yeah, there is, and I think again it's horses for courses, and then horses that have performed for you. And I think Gatland, he just knows Justin Tipuric so well. Yeah. I think he's probably going to be nailed on for him. He's been pretty outstanding for them. Then in the back row, I feel like the number 8 jersey is kind of it's up for grabs really. He might go with Faletau. Faletau travels. He's been playing his best rugby in years.
Yeah.
Billy Vunipola probably hasn't hit the form that you would.
Another guy who's not going to get club rugby now as well. So
Yeah.
it's a big risk, and it's a risk that like Eddie Jones took. It didn't pay off. Is Warren Gatland going to take the same risk? I don't think so.
Do you think CJ has an opportunity to be there?
I think he'd have a good opportunity to travel. I don't think he'll start though. I think Faletau has a much better chance of starting than CJ. That's my feeling on it. And at 6, then I'd probably pick Tig because he has that extra bit of height in the line out. He showed how mobile he is being back there. His performances, in the Six Nations, I'll probably have him in there. To have those 3. Yeah.
What about the 7 then? Hamish Watson nominated for Player of the Tournament, but there is so many like Curry. He's 7, isn't he? Underhill.
But Justin Tipperick, I said, I'd probably put him in there. But I don't know. What do you think?
Hamish Watson's one of those guys. He just every time he plays, he just seems to pop up everywhere. He's. It's hard to know. Obviously, he's not the biggest of guys. Against the South Africans, will he look to go with someone who's a bit bigger? But he'd an incredible competition, and whatever way Scotland play, it really seems to suit him.
We had a bit of chat about the 9 position. I went for Murray. I think he's the best of the 9s. I would say that. But
even after yesterday.
After I had this team picked last week. What do you think?
Has he been cut now?
I don't know. I'll have to change it. I'll edit my notes here. What do you think?
You're that fickle. He'll be gone after one bad performance.
Cut. Out.
Yeah, I think that I think Conor will definitely travel over there, and I think the fact that Gatland knows him, he played so well in that tour to Australia. When they beat them, that he had made the 9 jersey his own in the last test, and again the fact that Gatland knows him well, if he'd pick his form up for Munster, he'd be in a good position. And then I think Ben Youngs will travel as well. I'm not so sure. It's actually a position that's going to be hard to pick. I think that there hasn't been one.
He'd another guy before the Six Nations you would have thought was nailed on. After the Six Nations, not so much.
Yeah, it's up for grabs because it's kind of the opposite to the back row almost, that there was so many people playing so well in the back row that I think the standards of the 9s has probably been sub.
Yeah, Davies, in fairness, again, having to go back to the team that's won it. I thought he was very good, and he's a lot to his game. He's nippy, good box kicker, very very good passer, plays with a seriously high tempo, and I think if that's the style of play that they're looking to go with, he's probably the man for the job.
Yeah. I'll ask you about the 10.
Yeah, I think Johnny should be going again. He was the form 10 for me in the Six Nations. I know there's been a lot of talk about Finn Russell, and he was incredible last year, especially in the Champions Cup and for Racing in the top 14. But for me, in every head-to-head this year, Johnny's outplayed his opposite number. We know what he can do with his goal kicking, which is something that Finn, for me, struggles with. It doesn't look like he's figured it out yet. And
would you consider bigger?
Yeah, I would. I think even like Bigger's aerial ability is something that no other 10s offer. Very good defensively. I think Johnny probably gets the back line going better and the interplay with the forwards. I don't know what you think.
I wonder will they bring if they're going to bring 3 10s? Will they bring 3 10s?
Gatland usually just brings 2, but like if Farrell goes, he's covered.
So they could bring.
Farrell will
they could bring
bigger.
they could bring Bigger and Johnny.
Yeah.
And then you bring Farrell as a centre, but he can cover.
Yeah.
Cover 10 because I agree. I think Johnny. Because the thing is, you're leading into alliance here. Some guys a little bit of a benefit of doubt might go reputation, but you've got to be playing very well, and Johnny is playing very well, and Owen Farrell probably isn't playing very well. So. People are talking about him at 12. Robbie's got to be at 12. He's got to be at 12. He's been one of the best backs in the world for the last year in that position. So I think he's got to be in the driving seat to start there. He's shown that he's got so much variety to the way he can play. He can bash people. He can step people. He can win those aerial battles. Beautiful passer, kicker. I just think he's a great option. I think he's toured before. He knows what it's about, and probably Johnny Davies, because again, quality player, knows what it's like to start in the Lions tour. Gatland, a favourite of Gatland, bit of a leader. I would say those guys that start in the centre, and then you're moving on to the wing. Louis Rees-Zammit, you'd imagine he is in the driving seat to pick up one of the spots there on the wing with maybe a Johnny May or a Anthony Watson on the other side. I think anyway, because I think you're gonna need really raw speed, like for the back three that South Africa have and the broken field runners. I think you need very solid wingers, but you also need like rapidly quick wingers, and they are two guys that have that.
Yeah, winger's a funny one as well, like because it changes so quickly on form. It's not like props or second rows. You know exactly what you're getting from them. You're going to see over the next few months, you're going to see some wingers absolutely carve up. You're going to see other wingers go on a bit of a dry spell. So it's going to be very much dependent on how they go for their clubs and who really strikes form in their league and in the Champions Cup.
Yeah, Van der Merwe has been phenomenal too, though, for Scotland.
Yeah, like I think as well, like his physicality against the South Africans, that's something that they're definitely going to have to look at. If you have him on one wing and Rees-Zammit with his speed on the other wing, you've got lovely balance between speed, bringing in your blind winger, using him for pace, bringing your other blind winger in and using him for power to run over someone.
And to be fair,
that's bloody tough to defend against.
He's an improved defender as well. It probably was the side of his game that let him down a little bit reading, but he's had a great Six Nations. I think he was one of the top try scorers in it in the campaign, and and then 15, you'd imagine Stuart Hogg. I think he's had a brilliant tournament. I think he had another great game there against France. In fairness, his kicking game is such a weapon with the length he has. He can also kick off the tee, and then just what he brings with that counter attack. So you'd imagine that he'll have that nailed down to start. Yeah,
like I thought Liam Williams had a bloody great game. I know it was a bad error to get yellow carded at the end of the game, but
apart from that,
I thought he was fantastic. His attacking, his aerial game. He's also a very good kicker of the ball. In fairness to Hugo Keenan, like he's got to be in the mix now.
How many fullbacks do they usually bring?
He can cover wing, so he's a utility fullback. They probably look to bring two, but one of them probably have to cover the wing.
He might go and just not get a lot of probably.
Well, he could go and catch form and still get in.
Yeah.
But I think probably what the two other Liam and Hogg have
on form, you'd think Hugo would go with Stuart Hogg, but the thing that comes into a coach's head in these situations is who's done it for me.
Yeah,
under me, and Liam Williams has done it. You saw he started at 15, and you saw what he did for that try where Sean O'Brien and he made that break. He is a big game player. That's the one thing that would maybe work against maybe Hugo for not travelling.
Yeah. So there you have it. Our Lions team picked. I heard it first here.
Murray cut.
But that's if you were changing it.
House of Rugby Ireland, here on Joe. Game changed.